Nice to see you again on my channel. Let's dive into the new story and try to resolve it together in the comments below after watching this video. Get comfortable and let's begin. On the morning of my brother's wedding, I heard a notification sound from my girlfriend's phone. I saw that it was from a friend of hers who we had considered as a potential third partner a few weeks prior. For the first time in my life, I looked through her phone to see if she said anything about it to him. I scrolled down and came across a text from him that paralyzed me. It said something like, "I'm not the type to just hit it and quit it and not talk about it." I quickly figured out a lot by reading their texts as well as messages to her best friend and mother. It turned out that this had happened 3 weeks prior, just days after we had put money down and set a date at our wedding venue. She had invited him over to hang out at 9 p.m. She had previously told me that their relationship was platonic and consisted of being good friends on and off since age 4, with only one attempted kiss in high school. While at her mother's house in her hometown for a cousin's wedding where she was the maid of honor, she had told her mother that he was coming over to hang out for a bit and thought nothing of it. In the text to him, she lied and said she had told me everything. She had only told me that they had kissed, and not that she had invited him over. We both had responsibilities for my brother's wedding. I was the best man and DJ, and she was the officiant. While sitting in our hotel bed, I decided to write in my journal and vent while I determined what to do. I decided that I was going to do everything in my power to make it the best day possible for my brother and his wife, and suck it up before I confronted her when we got home the following day. I put on an act to be cheery and not make a scene, but that day was torture. Her inefficiency in preparation, my family complimenting her performance and expressing excitement for our wedding the following year, and all the while, I was DJing and trying to distract myself, but I ended up getting too drunk and feeling sick in the wee hours of the morning. We had driven to the wedding separately, and the next morning, I got a head start writing a letter to her that I would confront her with when she got home. I had decided that I wanted to reconcile for 2 main reasons, whether reasonable or not. Our relationship had spanned 9 years, and 5 years previously, I broke up with her because I was having some sort of a mental breakdown/shift and needed a break. I don't think I handled that situation well, and somehow, I thought she deserved another chance, like she had given me, because of how heartbroken I had left her from the previous break. I apologize if this is confusing. My mind has been pretty muddled these past 4 months. I made demands in the letter. Among them was to apologize to her mom and best friend about lying to them that we'd find a couples therapist and go as soon as possible. Another demand was that I confront the wife of the friend she slept with if he didn't reveal the truth to her himself. I needed to know exactly what happened, if this was the only time, and why the hell she hadn't told me what happened. Going into the confrontation, I wasn't 100% sure that I was going to still move forward saying I wanted to stay together. I had a couple of scenarios in my head, yet she avoided the conversation, left or wouldn't explain everything. I was done, but if I felt she was authentic and followed through with demands, we'd at least be on thin ice for a bit until couples therapy. When she got home, I immediately confronted her, set her down, and had her read the letter. After reading a couple of lines, she tried to divert. "Can we talk about this?" I didn't concede and said, "If you have any respect left for me, read what I wrote, and then we can talk." A page in, she started bawling and crying her eyes out, and that continued through all 6 pages. After she got herself together, I asked a couple direct questions and demands. It had only been the one time. He was venting about how bad his life had been lately, no intimacy from his wife for 6+ months, 2 DUIs, lost job, and then came on to her, and she eventually had reciprocated. No protection was used. I asked about the 3 guys idea. She was using the 3 guys idea as a way to feel less guilty about cheating. Yeah, I know, some incredible logic there. The reasoning of why she cheated was not really logical either. She said he was really vulnerable with her in that moment, when to me, it just sounded like he was saying how much his life sucked, and she felt bad for him. She said she held off telling me because I had previously told her cheating was an ironclad deal breaker, and that she was talking with her therapist, getting her affairs in order if I broke up with her. I originally wasn't going to have her bar contact with him, but 2 weeks after I confronted her, he told everything to his wife and cut all contact with my fiancé. In addition, his parents cut contact too, who she was good friends with for most of her life. That day, I got a Facebook message from his wife saying my fiancé had cheated on me with her husband. We had a long conversation about everything. She was kicking him out for an unspecified amount of time and having their 2 kids stay with her. It was relieving in a way talking to someone going through the same thing as myself, and I had agreed with her for them to have barred contact. For 2 months after the confrontation, things went well. We were very open to each other, talked more, were more intimate, did more things together, and started couples therapy. Unfortunately, it didn't last. She revealed in couples therapy that the idea of a break/separation came to mind recently and that she might need a break to try to understand why she did what she did and whether she truly wanted to get married and see a future with me. A week after that, she confronted me, saying she wanted to move forward with that and would look for a relative to stay with. For a 2-week period, she talked with relatives and eventually went to stay with her sister. She's unemployed at the moment, which I believe attributed to why she needed to figure some things out on her own. Another red flag of mine is how obsessed she has gotten about astrology lately, like she's lost in it or something. Even though I was extremely frustrated with this situation, I granted her that wish. The last 3 weeks in this separation have been pretty up and down, but I think I've come to terms that I'll be okay if she doesn't want to move forward in our relationship. On my side of things, while being apart, I've reviewed everything so far and can't get past the fact that the cheating happened just days after we reserved a wedding venue. I know I didn't deserve any of this and am still licking my wounds. I also just hate how she's the one that's been in decision mode on whether if she wants to stay or not right now. I surprisingly haven't been suspicious or untrusting at all that she's cheated on me any other times with him or anyone else, but that could just be tunnel vision cause I'm stupid and somehow don't currently have major trust issues. I've had some good support from a couple of relatives and close friends and have been seeing my own therapist for the last 3 months, so I at least have a good support system currently. A cheating partner is something someone should never have to go through and something I personally definitely didn't prepare for and am just doing the best I possibly can given the current situation. If this doesn't work out, I know I will be okay. I blocked my girlfriend after she started asking another dude for his pictures. So we met 3 years ago online in April, and we fell in love with each other mostly due to having similar values. In July, we both found out she has a chronic heart illness. While it was a shock experience with chronic illnesses in my family, my mother being a cancer survivor and having locomotor disabilities since I was 10, and my grandmother having ischemic heart disease helped me empathize with the situation and offer her emotional support or time and space to heal depending on the time needed. I understood that being not a psychologist, I'm not entitled to give her advice, but I can listen to her and support her should the need arise. We were still intimate until the same year in September when she said that while she cannot love anyone anymore, she still wants to see me, not just as a friend, but rather an angel. I asked her if she needed space or if I caused pressure, and she said that she wants me to stay. So I did, and everything was all right in the sense that we would support each other emotionally and we would both take our final high school exam. We still felt affection for each other, and she would sometimes say I love you despite her decision before, and I would reciprocate. This was until February 2020, when she became increasingly intimate with me via texts and said she was in love with me. I remember I sent her a selfie after she wanted to see a picture of me. She then asked if I ever thought of growing a beard, and consequently, I gently explained that I cannot do as such and that I have to shave every 2 weeks because my facial skin is sensitive. Her immediate answer was a negatively surprised okay, so I asked if this was some kind of deal breaker, to which she answered no. In those days, she would say things such as, "Wait, what if," after she rightfully told me about some family issues, I offered to listen to her if she needed to. The following months, she would remain distant and passive-aggressive. I reread the texts on the old phone. We talked 3 times in 9 months. I reached her twice, and she once told me that I have to take care in a quite cold tone. Evaluating this behavior and trying to find answers to this without success, I blocked her on WhatsApp and Facebook in December and went no contact because of the confusion. Although why I didn't block her phone number is kind of a mystery to me. I kept praying for her well-being despite still being confused and felt pushed away. After another few months, somewhere between December and June this year, she pursued a relationship with someone who, according to her later confession, she thought had the same values as her but ended up cheating on her. Despite the fact that she was told that the guy, around 10 years older than her, was toxic and neglectful, none of them ended that relationship when they noticed things didn't work out. But when she found out he cheated, she went into a coma. Shortly after the coma incident in very late July, she tried to get my best friend, who happens to live in the same town where she studies, to reach me despite the fact that I blocked her 6 months prior. She then texted me via SMS, telling me that by trying to distance herself, she wanted to do me good, but she now understands that it wasn't a good thing. She apologized for telling my best friend to ask me about her and for not communicating to me, but she said she wanted to protect me since she knew the situation with my mother. Now, I did have some inner questions about this apology, like why use the context of my mother's illness like this, even if she probably didn't want to put me in emotional trouble. If that was the case, why wasn't it possible for her to clarify in any of those 2 years without even needing to explain herself, just express her need to distance? But when she said she saw me while in a coma, I was both worried because of the coma and impressed that she reached out. So I accepted it for what it was and didn't express the questions. Personally, I believe that still having feelings for her was a contributing factor to some days thereafter. She said that she still loves me and consequently entered into a relationship again with both of our intentions. She was insisting that I stay and became extremely apologetic for not communicating. I visited her a month and a bit later in her town. Now, the date itself was more amazing than expected for both of us, including sexual interaction. However, right when I went aboard the train home, I suddenly felt an extremely unpleasant feeling, like a cloud of immense volume and pressure pushing on my chest that disappeared slowly the more I was approaching my hometown. Meanwhile, on the same day of my departure, she had to visit a relative in another country. She also said that her father cannot see pictures of us on Facebook since he would see them. Okay, strict parents are a thing, so I wouldn't disrespect her boundaries. She again became distant suddenly, but I thought at first that she might not have the emotional bandwidth to talk much since she was probably working. That, however, was weird since I very rarely heard "I love you" from her. Somewhere around once in 3 to 4 days, well before that, she would say that 10 plus times a day. It took hours to answer texts, and she said that some things are not as they should be, so I tried to give her time and space. However, she was super active on social media, and after 2 weeks or so, she put a picture on Facebook with a movie scene that said, "I love your soul." Naturally, since we were in a relationship, I thought it would be normal to comment on that post, and so I did with a gift that essentially said the same thing. As she saw the comment, she deleted the whole post. When I asked her if there was something wrong either in her life or with what I did, she didn't answer at all. On September 15th, I sent her a video collage and wrote her a birthday wish in private since it was her birthday. Knowing what happened to the post, she only said that she thanks me for the kind words, but nothing about the video. When I asked her if she needs more time and space from me or if she needs to vent since she was extremely susceptible to internalize things to her health's detriment, see the coma incident, she texted 3 days later with "I went to the hospital, and that's how I vented." Now, I didn't expect her to be particularly kind in expressing such a situation, but her using my words against me felt really weird and hurting, so I began thinking of a discreet way of drawing the line due to the passive aggressivity and lack of communication after she felt better. Of course, I made it very clear that she is not at fault for what happened to her, but that getting PA again is not okay. When I did so, she explained that she decided to move abroad and that she converted to another religion, not going to name it because I have nothing against people from any particular religion, when she found out what happened to her health. She apologized again and said she had no excuse since she knew she hurt me. I again accepted the apology but told her I can't continue like this, and she texted me after that with things such as "You are an absolute angel, take care of you, sweet soul, and your mother, sweet soul." That, while endearing, felt incredibly confusing due to the fact that what she said was different from how she applied it in the context of our relationship. Due to that, I felt extremely drained physically and emotionally for 3 months, and after visiting the psychologist who said that the only mistake I particularly made in this relationship was that I have to select my partner better, then I blocked her again and felt like I only had around 1% of that drained state. But I do sometimes think, I don't blame her for what happened and am grateful for this experience, although I would certainly not repeat it. She seems to be a well-intended person. However, I sometimes wonder if I genuinely was the toxic partner here, and if so, what can I do to not remain like that in future relationships? Guys, thank you very much for your attention. I appreciate that you have devoted your time to my work, specifically on this channel. If you subscribe to the channel, I will be happy. But if you decide to talk to me in the comments about this story, I will be even happier. Stay tuned for my next story on this channel.